The other day, I went into a store where masks are mandatory without wearing a mask. What happened? Well, my dad wanted to go check out books, so we went down to the Barnes and Noble to go look around. And when we were going to enter, we didn't know this beforehand, there was a sign on the door, masks required. And I said, well, let's just go in, see what happens, see if they ask us to leave. If they do, well, then we'll just leave. Not that big of a deal. But we went in, no masks on, and what happened? Absolutely nothing. And we weren't the only ones walking around in there without masks on. And I figured maybe if they have a nationwide policy, it's because in other towns where they generally don't have security. If you go to a McDonald's in certain parts of the country, they'll have security. But in most parts, especially the more normal parts, there's no security. There's really no one to enforce this. So no one said a word to us about this. And right before making this video, I called Walmart because I wanted to find out what their mask policy was officially. And this is what I was told. I was calling to inquire about your mask policy. Do you have to wear a mask to enter the store?
It is required, but we cannot restrict it to make you wear them, no. But we have them available at the front doors.
Okay, so if you have a medical exemption, like you'll just let them go in and shop?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, she said that you don't even need a medical exemption to go in and shop without a mask on. The reason I asked is actually because there's HIPAA laws that if you have a medical exemption, they can't discriminate against you because of your medical condition that would prevent you from wearing a mask. They have to let you go in and shop, and they're not allowed to ask you what your medical condition is. If they do, they could actually be fined up to $75,000. Now, I'm not recommending that people do this. Personally, I'd prefer you to support small businesses, many of which were forced to shut down and are hurting, while these huge corporations were allowed to basically have monopolies. So I don't really recommend you shop at these places if you can avoid it, and patronize other places. So they have a mandatory mask policy at Walmart, and that's been all over the news, but they don't enforce it. So it was all a bunch of hoopla and a bunch of publicity over absolutely nothing. Now, I'm not against wearing masks. If you feel you're safer for it, or if you feel other people are safer for it, absolutely, you should wear a mask. And maybe if you're going to a nursing home, it's not that big of a deal for someone like me to put on a mask. But I just don't want to get into mandating people wear masks. And there's a lot of theories why they're trying to all of a sudden enforce masks when just a few months ago, Fauci was telling people not to wear masks, that it doesn't do anything. And in fact, it makes things more dangerous. It makes you more at risk because you're going to fidget with them, you're going to scratch, you're going to touch. And he was saying that just a few months ago. And now all of a sudden, why is he telling everyone to wear masks? Why are the authorities telling everyone to wear masks? And like I said, there's a number of theories. And I believe they're actually, with much of the COVID stuff, they're trying to kill more than one bird with just one stone. There's a lot of goals that they're trying to use it to meet. And one of the popular theories with the masks is it's a system of control to see what people are willing to go along with, to see how much people are willing to go along with. And I think there's a lot of truth in that, because one thing that's been revealed, Facebook, for example, when they have those overlays, like the rainbow overlay for your profile photo, or after the one attack in Paris, they had the Paris overlay. What they're actually doing is a psychological experiment. Now, they claimed that it's to help for their targeted ads, but if you think it's going to stop at targeted ads, you're absolutely nuts. So it came out that that was actually a psychological experiment to see what people will do and how people are influenced. And that's one of the theories behind the mask, the mandatory masks, and trying to get everyone to wear a mask, is to see how much people will do, because the narrative was falling apart when then they had those race riots, and many of these health officials, they endorsed the actual rioting. Before that, they were scaring us. You got to social distance. You got to keep away from everyone. But as soon as the race riots broke out, many of these people were endorsing it. and saying that white supremacy is more dangerous than COVID. White supremacy and the KKK, I've never met a KKK member, yet they're this huge threat to society. White supremacy is a huge threat. Never met a white supremacist. And if the KKK and white supremacists actually existed, wouldn't they be at these riots fighting the people, trying to control them from running amok, destroying the city, destroying everything, looting? Wouldn't they be trying to stop those people and clashing with them? None of that ever happened. So the narrative was falling apart, and now it's the mask narrative. Why are they doing this? Well, one leading theory is to see how far people will go and see what people will go along with. But I believe the main thing is something much similar. I think they're just trying to make it look like they're doing something. And they know they can't control people because people were going out and protesting, and they were very against that when they were protesting the lockdown. But as soon as the race riots existed, white supremacy is a bigger threat, even though the whole George Floyd narrative of it happened because of racism, there's zero evidence whatsoever that there was any kind of racial motive, but the media keeps hammering that into people, and that's just a story that they ran with zero evidence. So things were falling apart, but now we got the mask. I believe the simple reason is, which is the majority, there's other goals they're meeting, but they just want to make it look like they're doing something. And they know they can't keep people in anymore. So they have to do something and, well, let them go out, but keep them scared. If they take this thing off, they're going to be killing someone, or they're going to be at serious risk themselves. So it's mostly to make it look like they're actually doing something. But what do you think? Go ahead, leave a comment down below. Are you wearing a mask or are you not wearing a mask? What do you think of all this stuff?